You're not involved.
It'd be well to do it for all your friends you know who have committed suicide, then it would help any of them.
Lady says, it would be well to do it for all our friends who have committed suicide. Yes. It's the greatest gift you can give them.
I seem to have a lot of friends who have taken it that way.
And also, like with the nurses and the people that I teach, you can exorcise the land you live on, the building you move into, the objects you collect. We had an interesting case that one of my students brought in. She asked first, she said, I got a beautiful calabash. And I said, oh, bring it. So the day I came, the calabash was on my table. And as I walked into the door, it was like a shock. I almost had a heart attack. And I thought, oh, it must be from the bowl. Well, none of the students knew who it belonged to. It belonged to Queen Ahumanu. And she was the wife of King Kamehameha. He was sitting on the table. So I asked every one of them, there's some of them who are here today, to come and feel, not touching, to feel the calabash outside and feel inside and tell us what their experiences are. Now remember, a lot of these youngsters have not gone out to learn metaphysics or psychism or whatever it is, just their own personal feeling. And each one had a different feeling of that. So one said, well, I could feel that it was lovingly carried from across the waters. And the other one said, well, I felt there's a fisherman that died as a result of the bowl. And I think Lynn said something. She said she put her hand inside, she felt something in there, and it was sticky and has a sickening sweetness. Well, I automatically knew what it was. It was blood. Eyeballs floating inside. So there were so many things that contributed to it. And they were both good and malevolent. It depends on what practices was used with that specific container. So what we did Ho'oponopono on ourselves and everybody that was connected with this bowl. Now, we go back to the beginning when the log was first selected, because the bowl was going to be for a queen. Naturally, special rituals were being done. So the kahuna in charge of it would work on the tree, invoke special prayers. And the sculptor who had to carve it had the special prayers and special ritual. So all the way down the line until the bowl was dedicated to the queen. So many thought forms have been embedded in that bowl, both malevolent, malefic, and good. So what we did was to do Ho'oponopono on ourselves and all the people involved and transmute. So just the words as I have there, transmute them to pure light. And you come back, you couldn't feel a darn thing. Nothing at all. Yes.
My understanding is that for a balance of energy, you need both positive and negative forces. So in your approach of, say, exorcising a room or a building or an object, are you not in fact tampering with that balance?
This is interesting. In cleansing a room, whatever it may be, is it not that I'm tampering with the balance of that situation by doing this? I say no. Your objective is to bring balance. If your scale is tipped, you put in enough on this to bring the balance. Balance and peace of mind is the objective and result of Ho'oponopono.
I'm just bringing this up because in Los Angeles there's a group called the Healing Light Society, and some of their healers went in and cleaned the rooms, and they said that following this particular process they had a series of break-ins.
This is interesting. This group were healers of light. Is that
the Healing Light Society?
The Healing Light Society had gone to this place and cleaned it up, and the aftermath was there was a break-in.
A series of break-ins.
A series of break-in. What is the answer? The answer is, did they thoroughly clean the place? Did they thoroughly clean the place? Now the thing is, the house, maybe it's a room. What is the room made of? A building. Where's the building on? The property. Maybe they are infringing, violating the sacredness of that property. On any property is sacred. So we deal with the divine forces. People do not realize that there are divine forces in everything. So we can work with the divine forces and do a ho'oponopono that man has through time desecrated that particular property, and that when the house was there and maybe other entities, so we're cleaning up from the ground up. It's the same thing I did with the hospital. The doctor says, why should we go all around the yard? All I want is go to surgery and go to this room and get it cleaned up. I said, well, the building is set on the land, and I need to work on the foundation first, because the land is affecting the building and the entire people. And so they began to understand. So when we go back to the minute factors, we find you must go back to that to do a thorough cleansing. I don't care what anybody tells you. I've cleansed this room. But what is it sitting on? This piece of land. This probably was a sacred land at one time. Do we know about that? And even if we don't know, we accord our thoughts to the divine forces of light that happen here. And so no matter where you go, land has been desecrated through time. And it is time that you should clean it up. So it's kind of nice that if every one of us would clean our own backyards and our own front yards, maybe the world would be a cleaner place to live in.
Don't the nature spirits that take care of the land, don't they do some cleaning and work with the land?
The question is, there are nature spirits. Do they clean up and take care of the land? I feel this way, that they do, but if man is not in that cooperative spirit in working with them, it creates balance. I think man is the one that creates the imbalance. So, I mean, nature spirits are there. Nature is there, but we create the havoc.
So we're correcting the wrong that we have created somewhere.
That's right.
throughout the time.
That's true. I've gone to areas where it was very arid, and I've done a cleansing of this area, and it's interesting that the forces that every molecule of the earth, every grain of sand begins to unfold. Really, but because of the mental desecration done by man, all that thing has been closed up. To see these molecules opening up, finally breathing, because you have touch bases with them. Yes.
I have a question about the words from spiritual, mental, material, financial, and karmic bondage. In the mental, going beyond the spiritual, in the mental area, could this be used to cleanse or purify a process? In my experience, for example, let me make it concrete. I have a problem I'm working on at work, and I have to use a mathematical process to help solve the problem. Now, in my experience in the past, I've used that mathematical process in the Department of Defense to solve military problems, and it has, for me, negative...
Are you a legal counsel, may I ask?
No, it's not legal.
I see.
It was purely operations, strategy, and things like that. That process has, for me, negative connotations. Would it be good for me to go through the cleansing process so when I apply it now, it is a clean process? This is beyond the spiritual, but it's mental for me. Does it apply to processes too?
Yes. The question comes up that in regard to this phrase where it says spiritual, mental, physical, material, financial, and karmic bondage. Well, it refers to all aspects, spiritual, mental, physical. When I say karmic, it's all inclusive. So I think in your case it can be, can work quite well. It never hurts to apply. Or to try, shall I say. Yes.